Welcome to Greenlight This, the podcast where we pitch the movies Hollywood hasn't dared to make. Yet. Each week, we build new worlds, spin wild sequels, and launch entire cinematic universes straight from our imagination to your ears. My name is Landon Davis, but you can call me Squiddy, and I'm here with the Ed to my Lorraine Warren, Travis Medore.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well today. And we should warn off the bat that this episode will be scary.
This week's episode is going to be on the more paranormal and horror world side. So if that's not for you, go ahead and skip this week, and next week will be much more family friendly. Travis, welcome to Halloween season.
Thank you.
Hallowed be the jack-o'-lantern.
Oh.
The true season of candy corn, orange frosted Oreos, and pumpkin spice. How do you get into the reason for the season?
I love starting off my Halloween spooky season with going through the old monster movies from the black and white era, like the 30s and the 40s, and just kind of going through those, and then just slowly going through some of the other other movies, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, the occasional Tim Burton movie, Nightmare Before Christmas, Edward Scissorhands, The Corpse Bride, etc. And yeah, basically that, and then pulling up photos and videos of just, Halloween displays, haunted houses, and so forth. What about you?
Well, I usually spend my season praying to the Salem sisters who passed, so I may enjoy the plastic cauldrons, slasher films, and spooky, scary skeletons that make up our season, burning some sage, maybe sacrificing a goat to a pagan god.
Okay.
Just for the sake of it. I think you mentioned everything that I usually do. I enjoy the decorating and then all the same movies, but maybe this year I'll give Agatha a rewatch.
Oh, yeah, that was a really good series.
Should we go ahead and greenlight this, Travis?
Let's do it. So, Greenlighters, grab your pumpkin Reese's, lock the door, and light a candle. It's time to greenlight something new. All right, hit the lights. Roll camera. Wait. Hold on. Where's the script?
Travis, have you ever known anyone who's had a paranormal experience?
I have. I've had a very small paranormal experience. My family and we were staying in a hotel up in Washington, D.C., and the hotel room definitely had some spooky stuff going on. I think at one point I even saw the edge of the bed compress down as if someone was sitting on it. And at that very moment, both my brother and sister shot up screaming bloody murder because they thought something spooked them out. But apart from that, I actually have an older brother who used to do paranormal investigative work down in the down south around Georgia, Louisiana, all that area.
Which the South would be the most terrifying places, I feel like, to do anything like that. Well, I have I visited a few places that have been said to be haunted. But one of the houses that we lived in, it was over a century old. And it had the strangest feeling that whenever I was in the bathroom, specifically if I was showering, I always felt like I was being watched from a specific corner of the room. It was just the
local pervert.
I hope not, because they would have had to climb up a second story just to stand in a corner without being seen somehow. And the house used to be a midwife home. So it was used a lot for kind of medical stuff in the old pioneer-esque days. And one night I saw a shadow person walk down the hall towards the said bathroom.
Man.
And that's definitely just one thing that I was never able to explain away. Everything else I could kind of go, it's just a weird feeling, right? You're in the shower, you're a teenager, everything feels weird.
Yeah.
But that specifically, I never really could explain away. So Hollywood has loved paranormal and spooky over the years.
Absolutely.
Movies like The Exorcist, Poltergeist, the Conjuring franchise that has been going on, the early aughts with the Paranormal Activity, the multiple varieties of Amityville horror.
Yeah.
The new movie this summer, Weapons. The list can just go on and on of when we've had some form of spooky story
Yeah.
over. I know we've watched the Conjuring franchise together, and I think several of those movies actually that I've listed, we've watched one form or another.
Oh, absolutely.
So today I wanted us to read a few stories from people talking about the Black-Eyed Children. Have you ever heard of the Black-Eyed Children before today?
I believe I have. I do remember you mentioning them to me previously before we've even started this podcast or this episode, but I can't remember too much about them.
So generally, they are children ranging from like 7 or 8 up into like 16, 18 years of age. They can be male or female. They could be in old-timey clothes or modern clothes, but they usually will come to a car door or a house and just ask to be let in. That's kind of their thing, is they have like a vampiric kind of vibe to them where they'll just whatever be trying to get in. The most famous like original story about this comes from Texas, I believe, and it was in the 90s. This guy was driving to deliver his bill, like it was actually dropping it off to it was like an internet or power bill. There was a movie theater across the street that he could see the big marquee going. I believe Mortal Kombat was in theater. He specifically references that Mortal Kombat was in the theater at the time. And he's like filling out the check that he's about to drop off for the bill. And out of nowhere, he just sees these 2 kids, teenagers, standing, just asking to be let into his car. And they're kind of giving odd reasoning of like, yeah, if you can just drop us off at our mom's house, we're going to get money so we can get tickets to the next Mortal Kombat showing. But as he's looking at it, it's like the last showing ended an hour ago. Like I can see the marquee from here. One of them was the speaker while the other one was just kind of standing farther back, almost more uncomfortable with the whole situation. It's just an odd experience that the guy tells. And eventually he just ends up flooring it out of the parking lot that he's in and heads home, just trying to get as far away from them. One of the earliest stories that I ever heard was an older couple that they kept having these children pop up at their door, and eventually they let them in, and one of them ends up having health problems immediately after. So it's just kind of that bad things seem to happen if they get let in. But stories vary a lot. I think were a bigger experience a decade ago, kind of from the internet and spooky pastas, things like that. But now that we have Ring doorbells, suddenly it's a less common phenomenon. But yeah, Travis, if you could share the first story with our readers.
Absolutely. So, guys, this story comes from a deleted Reddit post. I've encountered black-eyed children from Paranormal subreddit 3 years ago. I believe I encountered the black-eyed children over a decade ago in rural Appalachia. This has always low-key disturbed me. Keeping in touch to this day, we've never brought it up again. We were at a local state park sort of place at between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. I remember we were parked alongside the woods and some picnic tables. It was pretty desolate. We were technically trespassing, and what we were doing there you can leave to your imagination. As our curfews were approaching and we were finishing up our time together, we experienced a very ominous feeling. He was in the driver's seat preparing to start the car and pull off. The car doesn't start. We sort of laughed it off as it wasn't the first time and talked. Suddenly to the right, passenger side where I was sitting, we see faint lights coming out of the woods. The ominous feeling intensified. Emerging from the woods, there are 4 to 5 children, younger than us, appearing to be 7 to 11 years old. I'm not going to claim they had black eyes. It was dark and I don't remember, as I was pretty shook. I didn't read about the black-eyed children lore phenomenon until years later, which described everything else that we experienced. All I can say is they were not normal. They didn't belong. The cabins at the park were not occupied. They weren't even getting rented out, as it was autumn-winter. We were miles from the park's hotel. There were no adults. They were absolutely out of place. What were the lights? I don't know, but the closest thing I can compare to them are glow sticks. As if they had opened a package of those novelty glow sticks that included bracelets, necklaces, or wands. But it wasn't like they were having fun or goofing off. They just stopped and stood there and stared at us. He tried asking what they were doing here, if they were lost, are their parents? No response. The oldest looking male child, a bit heavy-set with a gray hoodie on, approached the vehicle just in front where the passenger headlight corner would be. My friend started really freaking out at this moment. He locked the doors and was like, hell no, we gotta go. Eventually the car starts. The children don't move and the kid stays put in front of the car. My friend eventually yells to the kid, I'm gonna run you over. The boy slowly backs away, raises his arm, and points at us as we were leaving. I didn't look back. Creepy.
I love a good Lover's Lane story. Like, what a good Halloween classic. Movies like Scream and such just kind of play off of this. And that's kind of why I liked this story specifically, is it gives off that vibe heavily. Again, if it's true, that is terrifying. And
right.
In a lot of those paranormal movies that I mentioned, children have come up a lot.
Yeah.
I found a second story from the same Reddit, but this one is entitled My BEK Encounters.
Okay.
So BEK is Black-Eyed Kids or Children.
Gotcha.
BEC, sometimes that comes up. It was posted about 8 years ago, and the account has also been deleted. I've had 2 encounters with them. The first time was 2 years ago or so, in a gas station parking lot off Highway 58 in Tennessee. At like 3 or 4 in the morning, my friend had parked towards the far end of the lot around the side of the building. I was sitting in the passenger side of my friend's car, waiting for him to come out of the store from buying his cigarettes. I was fairly relaxed, enjoying the radio, and then I hear a knock on the window. I look over and there was a boy. He looked about 12. He was wearing a gray hoodie with his hood pulled up. I cracked the window and asked him what he wanted, and responded with, "Can I borrow your phone?" I wasn't going to let some strange kid use my phone, so I told him that I was sure they'd let him use the one inside the store. He kept insisting on it though, and it was the weirdest thing because the longer he stood there, the more unsettled and scared I started to feel. I had rolled up the window by this point, and he became something less than aggressive, but more than insistent. That's when I saw his eyes. His hood slipped back because of his movements, and the only way I can describe the feeling of looking into those eyes is primal fear. That's about the time he quickly moved to the nearby tree line. A few seconds later, my friend got into the car. He said I was pale as a ghost and asked me what was wrong. At that time, I had no idea what the heck that was all about and had trouble describing it at all to him. He looked at me strangely and said he didn't see the kid at all. That really got to me, and so when I got home, I couldn't sleep and found out exactly what I had encountered. The second encounter happened shortly after my roommate in my house. I'm assuming he's meaning that he moved in there.
Okay.
This was about 3.5 weeks ago. I am a night owl, so I'm up at pretty ridiculous times of night a lot of the time, and I was up at around 3:30ish in the morning, yet again, and watching YouTube videos. Then I hear a knock on the front door. I would have normally just avoided a knock on the door at this time of night, but my roommate's girlfriend had left only about 20 minutes prior, so I assumed it was her having forgot something. It wouldn't have been the first time, so I went to the door and cracked it a bit to look outside. And there were these 3 kids. One looked to be around 16 years old, girl. The other 2 were little boys who appeared 6 and 10 respectively. They wouldn't look directly at me and held their heads at a downward angle. The porch light cast a pretty heavy shadow over their features, so what they were was again obscured. I hadn't forgotten about my previous encounter, but I didn't know any of the neighborhood yet, so couldn't just assume BEK when it could have been desperation standing at my door. I opened the door a bit more, and before I could ask what they were after, the girl said, "Can we come in to use your phone?" I told her I could fetch it and let her use it, But again, she asked to come inside. It was as if I hadn't said anything at all, and her insistence grew, just like last time. She stepped from the front walk to the bottom step of my stoop and looked up at me. I saw those eyes again, slammed the door, and went back to the living room. A good distance away from the front door, I heard a few more knocks. Over the following few minutes, growing more aggressive with each volley until they stopped. I didn't dare get close to the door or windows again until sunrise. I've since installed security cameras around the perimeter of the house, and if they come back, I'll post the footage.
Dang, yeah, those are pretty creepy.
Yeah, I think there's something primal in us about if kids act the way they're not, quote unquote, supposed to, that can feel very creepy.
Yeah.
I think that's why the Conjuring movies or any of those that have had like kids shooting beams of vomit, whatever, being possessed, those just really get to us. And that's why I'm surprised that Hollywood hasn't made a Black-Eyed Children movie yet.
Right? Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to introduce today's movie. So we're going to go with the title BEK, playing off of the acronym used by the internet.
Okay.
Our logline is going to be Atticus and Lydia are stalked one night by black-eyed children. Our two main characters that we're going to follow are Atticus Laundry and Lydia Laundry. Atticus would be played, I want somebody that would be like a young grandpa, somebody that, you know, doesn't seem like quite old enough for the role yet, and that's kind of the same thought I had for the wife. So Kenneth Branagh, I don't know how you say it. Branagh, who famously was Lockhart in
Yes. Yep.
Chamber of Secrets, the movie, and he was, oh my gosh.
He was Hercule Poirot in the Agatha Christie film adaptations of Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, and was it Murder in Venice?
Yeah, those three. So fantastic actor. He also directed Dunkirk, if I remember. I think he was the director on that.
That sounds about right.
So amazing talent. For his wife Lydia, I liked Michelle Yeoh, who everybody I think fell in love with on her work in Wicked. She's obviously been an amazing actress for years. I know Everywhere, Everything, All at Once was another movie that she did recently that everyone loved her in. But yeah, I just wanted to play with those two. The Black-Eyed Children will be played by unnamed actors, actresses, ranging from probably that like 8 to 16 age. So, you know, gives casting a lot to work with. So story, Atticus and Lydia Laundry arrive early to the family cabin. They're preparing for the family to arrive. They have plans to celebrate Atticus's recent retirement with the family. So, you know, we'll just follow them for a day, setting up this cabin, getting ready, chopping wood maybe, whatever, just doing those things. That's how we're going to meet this family. As the day passes, they each see figures just beyond the tree line. Maybe kids?
Ooh.
I imagine this cabin, too, probably has a boathouse or a shed. You know, we're going to see 2 or 3 little locations on the property. But as night comes, Lydia's fallen asleep reading. Meanwhile, Atticus sneaks to have a midnight snack. When a knock on the door just concerns him. No one should be within miles of them. Atticus sees 3 children just outside the door asking to come in. Lydia wakes up to the knocking as it travels from door to door.
Ooh.
I imagine that we'd have that experience of you'd see windows and you couldn't tell if it's quite a reflection or somebody on the other side of the glass, and that's where we can kind of see some of the children. Atticus is just drawn to open the door. The children are so young and beg to be let in. What could go wrong? Time jumping ahead to the end of the movie. Morning comes, and as the family arrives to the cabin, an ambulance wheels away one body. The survivor is haunted by the black-eyed children.
Ooh.
So, from the black-eyed children myths that I've heard a little bit from reading online, once they get let in that door, there's going to be bad luck. Like I said, there was a different story that I'd read where one of the family member, one of the couple had a heart attack, but then the other one could just keep seeing this figure forever. So it could just be
Oh,
a haunting forever until they're both maybe claimed. I've seen stories that had like popped tires, things like that would kind of happen
Oh,
after. So they
gosh.
just kind of have this weird bad luck connected to them. And I think the bulk of the movie, where it's going to be this one night of experience, we can interact with the basement, we interact with the shed or
Oh, yeah.
boathouse, kind of that whole back and forth kind of thing. And maybe Atticus gets turned by them, maybe not. How does Lydia handle it? Maybe a little bit shorter of a movie. This can be an hour and a half movie, and I think it could be a good story rather than drawing it out, as we don't need to tell Ed and Lorraine love story. But to kind of play off of the visuals, The Conjuring, maybe a little bit of Weapons. Weapons has such a real feel to the look of the movie. It's not set in a quote unquote period. It's not set in like the 70s or 80s that we'd get with like The Conjuring. So I think it could easily be set in a more modern era. There could definitely be fun playing with iPhones or security cameras maybe on the cabin.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of giving us a little bit of like Paranormal Activity vibes to mix in there. Definitely this movie is for anyone that's a horror fan. So if you're not, I understand why you wouldn't have been watching or listening to us. So director, there are two different ones. So the first one, Scott Beck. He did last year's Heretic movie.
Oh, okay.
So he kind of did this realism, but also dark, felt a little shady. I think he would be kind of a fun director. If not him, maybe as executive producer or as the director, but James Wan.
Oh, yeah.
Who's done the Conjuring movies. He knows his style. I also think the creator of The Haunting of Hill House and the director of those Netflix projects, like those are three great options to kind of explore this. But yeah, that is today's movie. Anything you want to add or any questions you have on the movie?
No, I don't really have any questions on the project. It seems pretty straightforward. I feel like there's a lot that be done with this, and potentially even branch off into like a multi-movie series with reoccurring encounters of the black-eyed children. Like maybe in the second movie we have the buck pass from Kenneth Branagh's character to like maybe it's one of their adult sons or like adult daughters that is now encountering the black-eyed children. It's like her frantically trying to phone up her dad and be like, oh dad, what do I do? But maybe, I don't know, maybe something's happened to him and now they're branching off to the rest of the family, and we just get this lineage story going on. Or
I could see also a prequel of like the cabin property itself.
Oh, yes.
Maybe something is
like
connected
maybe
with that.
There's something with just the property and whoever stays in it. So yeah, like a prequel where something happens with the property that causes this phenomena.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and head to post.
Absolutely. Let's head to post.
Good. That's a wrap. Let's go to post.
All right, now that we're in post, Travis, if you had to describe yourself with one horror movie, one action movie, one comedy, one drama, and one animated film, what would they be?
Oh, man. I feel like this is really tough because I can name like favorites or like top 5 or top 10 for most of these categories, but naming them to where it's describing myself, this is going to be a little bit tough. I did have this just a little pre-planned, but we'll see. Horror movie to describe myself, I'm going to go with Sleepy Hollow. Just a nice mystery. Ichabod Crane just, coming in as the hero, trying to solve the crime. And then we have a period piece, and the clothing is just so wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
An action movie. I'm going to go with the 1999 Mummy, just because that's in like my top 5 for just like comfort movies. And again, we have, the hero, we have the small bit of romance, the action, the comedy, the suspense, paranormal and supernatural with the actual mummy. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. Comedy, I am going to definitely, top choice is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It incorporates my love of medieval eras and costuming, chainmail swords, Arthurian legends, all of that. And it's just so stinking funny. I love it so much. For drama, this one is really tough. I feel like when I think of drama, not much comes to my head right off the bat just because I don't primarily go for drama.
Yeah.
I'm more for like comedy, action, sci-fi, thriller kind of a deal. But so maybe Catch Me If You Can.
Okay.
So yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks. I feel like, yeah, Frank Abagnale's, I think that's the character's name.
Yeah.
He kind of has to become like this jack of all trades, basically. Like as we see him incorporate all these different talents as he's going throughout his life, just to kind of keep his ruses up. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm a jack of all trades, so that's kind of how I would just relate that to me. And then for an animated film, I'm going to go with the Rankin and Bass Hobbit. I love that movie so much. Cartoons, again, fantasy, adventure, music, the poetry of it, and yeah, just a unique and beautiful art style as well. What about yours?
So for me, I would say my animated movie is Shrek.
Okay.
I quote that movie
A
accidentally
lot.
probably every day. Like the smallest thing just works, in my daily job or my daily life. And I just do like, that'll do, donkey. That'll do. And then my comedy, a lot of varieties of movies that I love that are comedies, but I'm going to say Bros.
Okay.
Got to go for the queer love story, the vulgar sense of humor. That is definitely me personally. And then for horror, I definitely had a harder time thinking about this. Probably not one of my top categories, kind of like with you in drama, but I think I'm going to choose Scream. It's very campy. It's over the top, but I do love a slasher film. Like that's probably my favorite style of horror is just they're overly absurd. And I mean, my brother had a Scream mask when I was like 7 years old or whatever, when that first movie came out. And it definitely freaked me out. But I think in a weird way, I grew to love it. Drama, I am going to say Red, White, and Royal Blue. The Amazon original movie. I've also read the book like 3 times. I love the story. It's the son of the president dates and falls in love with a prince of England, and it's fantastic. Stephen Fry is in the movie, like Uma Thurman. Like it is such a great movie. I get shirtless men. It's all of the things. And then last for my action movie, I mean, I am a Batman guy.
Yeah.
At heart, I think that was an early thing
Love
in our friendship that we talked about was Batman movies. And so I have to choose. I still believe it's the highest rated of all time. It's my favorite, but I love The Dark Knight.
Okay.
Heath Ledger's Joker.
A really, really good one.
That one is fantastic. It came again around when I was like 13, 14, so it feels very important to me. Travis, anything you want to greenlight for our listeners this week?
Yeah, since we are in the spooky season, kind of going along the lines of paranormal. I know we talked a little bit more about like ghost-esque stuff in comparison to at the beginning of today's episode. So I want to greenlight Ghostbusters. I'm going to go with the original first 2. So Ghostbusters 2. Yeah, I feel like both of those you just can't go wrong, like a stellar cast and really good plots.
It's true. It's such an amazing movie, and I'm sure we're going to end up talking about them eventually, and maybe some of the spinoffs that they should have gone with rather than some of the ones we got. I do love Ghostbusters. I mean, I want to greenlight an underappreciated part of fall.
Okay.
Is our September, early October season. Peaches are really good. So I'm going to, first off, just greenlight, have like a peach cobbler. Like, do something sweet with peaches.
I can get behind that.
I think we need to break the status quo of pumpkin being the only flavor this season. So I'm going to fight the man with that. My first one is, it's not as scary as probably what we're talking about now, but keeping it kind of in the family-friendly range. The Disney classic of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Oh, yeah.
Just
really
sit down.
good.
Yeah, enjoy that with the family. I think it's a good time. Like, it's right up in there. Just chill and relax. Well, got a movie pitch of your own? Love this movie or think we could have cast better? Or if you have a question for us, message or tag us on Blusky, Instagram, TikTok, at Greenlight This Pod. You never know, we might feature it in a future episode.
Yeah, and follow us on Letterbox, where we post movie reviews, and our watch list might hold hints for what's in production. And if you've enjoyed this production, leave us a 5-star review and subscribe so you don't miss the next premiere. Let's drop next week's trailer and credits roll. Every holiday has their icon. The Easter Bunny, Valentine's Day, Cupid, Christmas, and Santa Claus. What if Halloween had an icon? Or 3? 3 figures to match Rudolph, Frosty, and Santa Claus. Who do we pick from a horde of monsters? Find out next Tuesday. Greenlight This is self-produced, directed by Landon Davis and Travis Medore. Written by Landon Davis and the scary side of the internet. Executive producer, the children knocking at our door. Director of photography, absolutely no one. This is a podcast. Sound department, it's me, Travis Medore. Casting, us, and hopefully one day, Michelle Yeoh. Music, Buccaneer by Zenial from freemusicarchive.org. Special thanks, you, our listeners, the real studio heads who greenlight every episode just by pressing play. This has been Greenlight This. Until next time.